So my thing is this, right? With some of these gaming companies moving towards streaming and whatnot, and this is kind of a bigger conversation because this goes past video games. But how do you think it's going to affect people with getting like these physical copies in comparison to playing games on like Netflix? When they're starting to stream games, they're going to get into it. You know what I mean? Different companies and whatnot. Like, how do you guys feel? One, how do you guys feel about Netflix trying to stream games? Two, how do you feel like the streaming of games and just streaming in general will increase things? We don't have to do like a deep dive today, but just short words.
I mean, I'll say this. I think streaming the impact of streaming will I think it will help expand the gaming market just because it's at to some extent definitely you're going through Netflix, right? Now that means it's easily accessible for anybody practically because almost everyone has Netflix. If not, you have something that's probably a competitor that will probably open up something very similar,
It's coming.
right? Yeah, exactly. So I think having that, I think this will open up the floodgates for just more gaming because we saw with what was it, Fortnite? I think Fortnite was one of those like huge games that still has like its huge impact in its own way, right? And it's just in a digital space. So, or primarily, most people, my understanding, most people play this game from a digital standpoint, right? Because you can download it on your phone.
Right.
So like I think this is going to enhance gaming, but I also think when it comes to like that antiquing thing of like having the physical copy, I think that's going to also I think it's going to be very similar to what we see with like albums, right? Where artists are everything comes out on streaming and then you'll have like Griselda artists for instance. They'll put out a vinyl collection. They'll put out vinyls of an album that they drop through streaming, but at the same time, there's only a limited amount. So you may be able to buy let's say Fortnite, for instance. Or let's say the next Grand Theft Auto is through a streaming game, right? But you have the opportunity to they may only put out maybe 1,000 copies of the actual game. If they put out 1,000 physical copies of the game, that copy is worth so much now. So
Yeah.
that's like my opinion of it for the most part.
Yeah. Spence had a good take on everything. I think that the streaming service is kind of like part of the is just the change of technology, the upgrading of technology. As what was common and what was the norm of the past is being phased out. And I think that you just hell today, yes, you could still go out to the store and buy a disc for your Xbox or for fucking PlayStation. But as you can see, you could be in the comfort of your home and hey, this game came out. I don't need to go to the store. I could just go to the online store right here, download it, play right here, boom. And a lot of people fuck with that. And with that, companies may start cutting costs. Like, hey, we don't need to produce these CDs because these games, you could get everything by downloading it online. And so I think also, I don't know if you guys remember, but back in the day with PC gaming, hey, you had the disc, you put the disc in. Some games you need the disc to play, but some games, hey, once you install it, you don't need the disc anymore. Yeah. And they don't do that with these current gen consoles. If you have the disc, hey, to order to play, you need to have the disc. So I feel like some people who feel like popping in CDs or disc, whatever, if they feel that's inconvenient, they're not going to miss the hardware. They're going to be like, hey, man, just give it to me digitally. I'm cool with that. And that's why they had the PS5 disc version and the PS5 non-disc version, because some people really don't give a fuck about it. So the streaming shit kind of benefits people like that. Because what if, like, you telling me, just like Xbox, you tell me I just have to pay $10.50 a month and I get all these brand new games and exactly. I could try them out. If I don't fuck with it, delete it off my shit. If I fuck with it, obviously I'm going to keep in and play it until I'm done with it. That's just the way this shit is going. Now, I'm not saying it'll be like Apple Music and Spotify. If you really fuck with the album and you really want to support, you're going to go to iTunes and buy it for $9.99. If not, you're just gonna stream the shit, keep it in your library, or if you don't fuck with it, you delete it. And that's where the shit is coming down to.
Here's why I see it, right? And just two things, really. I think with games becoming more accessible, they might stop putting out discs and they might just be like, hey, if you want to buy it, just buy the special edition. That's just going to cost like $100. And that's just it is what it is. You know what I mean? You got to come out of pocket if you want the extra shit and maybe the physical version too. But we're going to make it less. We're going to make it limited edition. The shit's going to be cool. You're going to want it. And that's just what it is. But I think streaming things opens up an interesting conversation when it comes to censorship, because like if you notice, like some of these things that you get, you know, you'll stream them and whatever the companies decide to put out, it doesn't have to be the original version. Case in point, like this goes past gaming to a certain degree. I was listening to Burden of Proof recently, and it was not the same version of Burden of Proof that I heard last fucking year. So like, yo, it just is what it is.
What you mean?
They changed, the instrumentation was different.
Yeah, they changed. Some of the beats are different, man. You got to listen to the shit.
Hold on, Thomas.
Yo, the vinyl I gave you,
keep it forever.
Thank you, Big Cozy, because you will, like Naja said, you have the original release now because it's been altered.
Yes,
that's sick. Are you serious?
A lot of people like The Office. Some of those scenes are cut the fuck out. My point is that if you really like something, get the original, because if it's just on streaming services, you're not going to have access to that shit all the time. Just is like, what it is.
Yeah, it's similar to like YG Meet the Flockas, right? Like, I'm not sure if you guys heard, but like earlier this year, there was a big issue because of we all know how everything was going on with the Asian community and the hate crimes. And in Meet the Flockas, which is off YG's, I think My Crazy Life album, which is from 2014, 2015.
Yeah.
He's pretty much talking about like how to do a burglary or break-in, and it's pretty much aimed at Asian communities, right? So, yeah, but it's
not good.
Yeah, but it's right.
The product of the time.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. It was a product of its time, right? So
right.
what's going to what has happened is they've actually removed the song. So like you can't even get the song. I believe either they changed the lyrics or you can't even get the song. It sounds like this is similar to what Kanye West's thing was, where it's like a growing album, which is cool, but that's all cool and all, but just re-release it as something else of like, hey, this is the growing version of this, and this is the original version. Because I think similar to like Westside Gunn's album, I think Fly Guy is an awesome guy too. Like,
yeah,
I'm not like Great Minder. Like to me, Great Minder is really Drive By Love story or whatever, right? Drive By Love was the original version that was on Apple Music. I guess they realized they messed it up because when we did our review, that's when we realized it was a difference. And come to find out, Great Minder is a totally different song. They switched it. So the song that I know is the same song that you heard on Spotify, but now I don't even like listening. I skip that track now because it's like, it changes the whole flavor and my whole way of taking in this album. So I think even, granted, we kind of deviated from like games itself, but I do think like, I agree where like they're going to find a way of creating an original, because I think, like you said, digitally, when it's a digital thing and streaming, it makes it bigger for a casual person that wants to play video games, but hey, I don't want to spend the extra couple $100. So I think streaming, it helps with the streaming, but like you said, all of them are going to put out a physical copy, but the physical copy is just going to be like a limited edition, like you said, where even like NBA Live and 2K, they've done that for years, where they would put out like the one version that's $100, and then which may come with extra things, and then everything else is just a standard $50-$60 package. Having this gaming system and streaming overall it has its benefit, but I do think it, like you said, like if whenever they put out these physical copies, fine, or even if there's a way to preserve it digitally, because which I think will happen at some point, they'll find a way of preserving like these original copies. Because even the same with Instagram, right? You can go to an older version of Instagram, but you have to use whatever like other technology to even have that accessibility, be able to have that to be
Correct.
accessible to you. So
Right.
yeah, so I just think this is something to just be on the lookout for, especially when it comes to streaming and like just gaming systems in a whole.